I want to challenge some fundamental assumptions we often have about web design. What are the true historical and conceptual roots of the digital interfaces we interact with every day? The prevailing narrative, the one many of us learned, posits that web design is intrinsically linked to Western visual traditions. It makes intuitive sense. The technology originated largely in Europe and America, environments steeped in centuries of specific artistic and design philosophies. We think of the Renaissance, with its mastery of single point perspective, training the eye to see through a defined frame, guiding it towards a single rational focal point within the mathematically constructed illusion of space. This logic of the frame contained information translated powerfully into print. From illuminated manuscripts to modern magazines, the page became the fundamental unit, discrete, orderly, and self-contained. You finish one, then you turn to the next. This culminated in the mid-20th century with the rise of modernism and influential systems like the Swiss grid, reinforcing ideals of clarity, objectivity, and content fitting neatly into predetermined structures. This, we're often told, is the bedrock upon which logical, user-friendly web design was built. However, let's pause and consider our actual experience of the contemporary web. Does it really operate like a perfectly gridded framed page from a book? Web pages are fluid, adapting to different screen sizes. Content isn't static, it layers dynamically. We encounter overlays, modals, parallax effects that constantly break the illusion of a single fixed frame. Critically, the primary mode of navigating extended content isn't turning a page, it's scrolling. Instead of guiding our eye to one fixed vanishing point, digital interfaces often lead us through a continuous unfolding journey. This fundamental action, scrolling, begs the question, if the book page is the ancestor of print design, then what is the true ancestor of the continuously unfolding web page? I think we should look towards a different tradition, an Eastern one, the scroll. For centuries, especially in East Asia, the scroll has been a dominant format for art and texts. Unlike the framed canvas or the bound page, the scroll embodies continuity. Information, images, text, isn't presented as a single static composition to be absorbed instantly. Instead, the viewer experiences it sequentially, unrolling it section by section, engaging with the content over time and space. The narrative unfolds. Sounds familiar? So, how did artists manage composition without a rigid frame and single point perspective? East Asian paintings, especially in scroll formats, often utilizes floating viewpoints. The perspective shifts as you move through the scroll, guiding the viewer through landscapes or narratives organically. Depth is achieved through layering and subtle arrangement rather than forced mathematical perspective. The emphasis isn't on a single hierarchical focal point, but on the flow of the experience, arranging elements in overlapping dynamic ways, much like the layered interfaces and dynamic content delivery we see on the web today. So when we compare the fundamental structures, the fixed turnable page versus the continuous unfolding scroll, which one truly resonates more with our daily experience of the web? The scrolling navigation, the layered content, the lack of a single enforced perspective, these all echo the logic of the scroll, far more closely than the logic of the book or the framed painting. Given these strong parallels, why does so much design education and professional discourse still default to the Western print-derived paradigms? Why do we insist on teaching strict grids and Renaissance spatial logic as the only foundation when the medium itself behaves so differently? By acknowledging the web's affinity with the scroll, we don't discard valuable principles of clarity and usability learned from Western traditions. We expand our toolkit. We open up new ways to think about digital space, about interaction over time, and about weaving narratives through continuous interfaces. The web, in its very essence, behaves less like a static framed page and more like an ancient unfolding scroll. It's fluid, layered, and continuous. Recognizing this connection isn't just an interesting historical footnote. It's also a vital shifting perspective that can enrich how we teach, practice, and innovate in modern web design. So let's stop trying to fit the web solely into the box of the book and start embracing its true identity as a continuously unfolding medium.